Welcome to the Jay and Brian Show, the fastest growing talk show podcast in America. Join Jay and Brian for unscripted, thought-provoking, and entertaining conversations about life, business, and the world we live in. Tune in as they spotlight influential communicators, business leaders, and personalities from sports to entertainment. Here now, Jay and Brian.
You're listening to the Jay and Brian Show, powered by My City Lender Home Loans, a refreshingly simple way to get a home or commercial real estate loan. Excited to have all of our listeners on the show today. If you're watching on YouTube, awesome. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button, like our video, subscribe, and hit that bell also. That might help you be notified when we post a new episode. Jay and Brian Show has been kind of an evolution.
It really
Jay,
has.
It
really has been.
We started out with these sort of, how to, the more you know, kind of shows on mortgage, and pretty quickly we were like, that's kind of boring. It's
I don't think anybody really listened to it. I don't think anybody really watched it either. But
I like us.
Here we are.
I think we know what we're talking about. But it was like you just do two talking heads about mortgage, and we're like, let's get a guest on the show. So we signed up our good friend Shane Sauer from Greystone Title. I don't know if you know.
Shout out to Shane.
Shout out to Shane for being guest number one. And we're like, yeah, this is cool. Like, it was a fun conversation. It was a three-way conversation. Lots of laughs. Some insight.
Guests are the way to go.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that's what it turned into. It's a talk show. Great guests, great conversations, a lot of light bulb moments for me. It's one of my favorite things about having guests on the show.
People have a lot of really good stories to share. And that's what I think we've really kind of discovered doing this with guests, is that there's just a lot of really good stories to share. Yeah.
And people really enjoy hearing those stories. Chris Kirkpatrick comes to mind, very successful YouTuber, comes on the show and not only taught our audience, about what it took to put together a good YouTube channel, but he's mentoring us and he's helping us grow our channel. And
shout out to Chris.
How to produce really cool content and everything like that. So appreciated that. And then we had Frank Loitz from Wrench Nation, podcaster. He brought us the Go Giver light bulb. Frank, we got a shout out to you. That was amazing.
Thank you, Frank.
We love that. It's a foundational piece in our company going forward, I think. And today we've got Ryan Lorsch on our show today. Entrepreneur, small business owner, father of three. He is an insurance guru. I think today he's going to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit on the insurance industry, maybe, and give us some good. So he's got like a top 5, I think.
Yeah.
What people don't know about how insurance works, and I think that'll be fun. Ryan is an avid mountain biker. Not only do Ryan and I share the passion for mountain biking, but we are both pivot cyclists. So, and not just any pivot cycle. We both ride the venerable Trail 429. So shout out to Pivot Cycles. I love my ride. I don't know about you, Ryan.
I love it.
It's lots of fun. It's just a full, versatile, all mountain bike riding machine. Local company, which is great.
They can call it a
I
quiver.
didn't know that. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Ryan. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you
to
for
the
having
show.
me.
Stoked to have you here today. How's your week started out?
Oh, it's been good. We've been things have been good. We've been busy.
Yeah.
Got kids. They've got karate and dance and gymnastics and
Keeping you busy and moving all over town.
Really busy. Yep. And then we do skiing and stuff like that. So,
how do you maintain your youth? I need to know this. Okay. So Ryan just turned 22, and he's here with. He's a very young man, a young dad, and anyway, it's the fountain of youth. Is it? You just keep going back to the fountain of youth, and
I guess I don't know. I try to so maybe one of the things my wife, I didn't when we were dating and stuff. I didn't know this, but eventually she decided to become vegan. And so when we at home, she cooks nothing but vegan mostly.
So that's it.
And so
that is the fountain of youth.
Maybe, and to keep our marriage happy, I eat what she cooks. So.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe that's part of it. Trying
happy wife, happy life.
There you go.
Happy home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff though.
Yeah. But when when I go out to eat with friends and stuff, I can kind of sneak whatever I want.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think
It's like the movie The Hangover when Ryan goes out and he's like,
No.
Yeah. It's probably the physical activity though, Ryan, right?
That's true.
So the mountain biking and skiing also. So does your whole family ski?
So we, it's kind of funny. We started last year. We decided we homeschool, and so we can go up out on the way up. They're doing school and that kind of thing, and then when we get to the slopes, we'll go out and ski or whatever all day. But yeah, we decided I enjoyed it growing up, and I said I really want my family to kind of enjoy this too.
So do you get like phys ed credit then for that, the kids?
I mean, they're younger, so there's not really like a.
There's no criteria.
Yeah, your youngest
Yeah.
is 6 at this point, right?
6,
Yeah.
10, and 12,
Yeah.
and so I mean they're not in like a high school.
Yeah.
class
Gotcha.
or anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. I feel like it's a good physical education. So I mean.
Now, were you homeschooling before the pandemic, or was it because of the pandemic?
Yeah. My wife's always homeschooled.
Okay.
So, and I've always been supportive.
So it was no piece of cake for you guys then. It didn't really change anything.
It wasn't that. We felt bad for everyone else
Yeah.
going through that. It was a tough time. And,
Like, we're so good at this.
well, and it was different. I mean, they were doing like online classes and trying to Zoom, and I was like, oh, that sounds brutal.
That was our household.
Yeah.
But I was also lucky. My wife's a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And so she took on the homeschooling role, and I was able to just hide in my home office for the 2-week period that we were told we needed to be home. And then as soon as they opened up those gates, I was like, I'm going back in. I can't do this. I'm not a work from home, albeit totally different kind of circumstances. The kids were there as well, but But yeah, cool. So
I remember that red light, green light you had going on the outside of the wall with the LED
I
lights.
put a remote controlled RGB, so color changing LED light on the door, and it was red. Just don't even knock because Dad's on a call.
Don't
or
even come down
something.
the hall because you're not going to be able to see
Yellow,
anything.
knock before you come in. Green, you can come in. And I even had a sign that said, "Do not enter unless it's an emergency." Examples of what isn't an emergency is my brother took this, but my mom won't get me this. I need this.
Somebody hit me.
Outside of the house on fire, your mom unconscious. Follow the light rules here. And it worked for a couple of days. Honestly, they just ended up ignoring it. But
Yeah.
that's my favorite pandemic story.
Yeah. So yeah, we do that. That's awesome. I think I'm gonna apply that because I go to the home office. I think that'd be great.
It's pretty cool. They're cheap. Amazon.
Yeah. There you go. No, but yeah. So skiing and then mountain bike. We do mountain
Yeah.
bike too, even with the kids. So
Yeah.
we'll take them out, and we'll usually just do everything downhill at this point. Make it easy on them. So.
Yeah, it occurred to me last time we were skiing that it's so neat that we have these two outdoor physical activities together as a family, and the kids really enjoy it. And Deanna and I grew up skiing, and so that was sort of like an aha moment when our last kid, when Matthew was like, "Yeah, I like this." We're like, "Yes."
Yeah. Yeah. It was a roll of dice. I didn't know if my wife didn't like it. I knew it wasn't going to be something we did as a family.
Yeah.
This last week, even, I got all the gear ready. We went up, and we get there, and for whatever reason, it's pretty cold. It was like 16 degrees.
That's
out.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Winter skiing.
we went down one run, and my wife says, and my youngest boy, they both say, we're done.
It's too
One
cold.
run. And so then I took my other two up, and we went down again, and they're like, we're done too.
Oh,
and I
my
was
God.
like, oh no.
It can be too cold.
Oh, this. Where'd you go?
Snowball.
Snowball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we go there. Snowball does a really good job with younger kids. I think anyone 12 and under gets free
Ski
lift,
free. Yep.
Yeah, lift tickets. So
Wow.
I think,
We're taking advantage of that President's
Absolutely.
Weekend. We're going up there.
Nice.
We've always
Yeah.
gone to Pine Top, but we're like, or a Sunrise, but let's give Snowball a try.
they also do
Snowball.
really good. I mean, they have like a kids lesson. And, yeah. So, anyways, it's good.
That's
Teach
cool.
them how to put the boot on and
Yeah.
get in the
It's the whole
ski.
thing, huh?
Yeah.
So you're kind of in the same boat as Jay and I. We're small business owners. We're trying to build an awesome company while managing family life and young kids. And you've tell us about your track. I mean, you've established your own insurance agency, and what brought you to that point? Like, how did you?
Well, what got me into insurance, kind of, or
Yeah, I mean, well, more like got you to this point of starting your own business?
I was going to say, when I was 5, I knew.
I'm sure
I knew.
I want to be an insurance guy.
I can't wait. I wanted one of those green visors, the whole thing. No, but I have a passion for sales. I enjoy sales, and one thing I didn't like about sales is starting over every month or every time you made a sale. And that's one thing I really enjoy about insurance is that there's a renewable aspect about it. That I can help a client at one point and continue to service that client throughout, and then continue to, increase my book of business that way.
Okay.
So kind of a residual, like a residual. Okay.
Yeah. Each time a policy renews, the insurance company pays the agent a percentage of that policy, and to help service it is really what they're doing. So anytime
that's a novel concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, if that was...
Could you do that on a 30-year mortgage?
I mean, there's...
You would think, like every time the customer makes their mortgage payment, the loan officer gets paid. How about that?
That would be...
Wow.
Maybe a different model, right?
I think, Jay, we need to stick with a great experience so that down the line they want to do another loan with us.
Oh, right.
Or refer their friends and family.
Which is exactly what we do.
Yeah. So, I'm interested in your entrepreneurial road there. You're an insurance guy, sure, but you're running your own business and your company at that. So what brought you to wanting to be a true entrepreneur and start your own company?
That is always something I wanted to do. Is I always wanted to have my own business, call my own shots, set my own schedule, that kind of thing. And so it was deciding what to do and what fit. That was the hard part, I think. And and I actually do love what I do. And
that's awesome.
Which is kind of funny. People go, "Oh man, when are you going to grow up and get a real job?" But I really like insurance, and I love that, and I love figuring out the problem of like how do I continue to grow the business. And so I think we've got about 13 employees now.
Okay.
And we've grown. I worked for another agency at one point, and in 2018 is when I kind of established myself as my own agency.
So what kind of insurance do you guys sell?
So it's property and casualty.
Okay.
So like home, auto, motorcycle, boat, RV. We do business insurance, but we stay away from health insurance. Just because it's
a monster.
I don't know. It's just not something I want to get into. But life insurance, that kind of thing, we do.
Yeah.
And we're a broker, so
I was going to ask you about that next.
Okay.
And it's Protegrity.
Protegrity is the name of the company. Yeah.
Protegrity Insurance.
Yeah. And so
we'll have all the links to Ryan's company down in the description as well.
Great.
So
how everybody can find him.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, and so there's different types of models out there for insurance. I mean, you've got like the direct market where you call an 800 number. Some of the ones that are like the Geico or like a USAA, where you call an 800 number, you get whoever you get, and that's that they help sell you a policy or help insure.
So do you have like multiple carriers then that you can take it to? Okay.
Yeah, and that's what independent. So we're considered an independent agency. So we're licensed with a lot of companies. So Progressive and Travelers and Liberty Mutual, and we have Safeco.
So do you find that like one is particularly better than another, or is it, are they all competitive with each other? It just depends on what is going on with that customer, or?
Yeah, so that's maybe one of the things that people sometimes don't realize is that insurance companies, they look for a preferred risk. So they use these algorithms out there that they go, okay, we're looking for someone that's this age, that lives in this zip code, that drives these type of vehicles, that has this size of home, this credit score. Anyways, and they basically, the closer you are to that preferred risk, the better your rate is. And so any of the companies, sometimes they'll change what their preferred risk is over time. So they'll say, hey, actually, we no longer want the 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds. We want 35-year-olds or that kind of thing. And so I think people sometimes think, oh, I've got my coverage and I've got it placed here, and then they never look at it. And then what happens is, well, one, they change age, they get different vehicles, they might move, but they keep that same company. And a lot of times people don't realize that, well, now you're no longer that company's preferred risk. And so therefore you're actually overpaying because that company thinks there's a higher likelihood that there's a loss going to happen.
Okay.
So the advantage of an independent like myself is that we can look at the different carriers and we can say, okay, now that you've moved, you're in a different zip code, this actually other company actually fits you better. And so long term,
this is all very familiar.
It really is.
It's very similar to our whole process in terms of the investors that we work with, and different investors have different appetites for different loan profiles and risk profiles. And so when we have a customer and they have these are their goals and their parameters, and we put it into the machine and we get all the pricing offers from the different investors, and we're able to shop it. I imagine just in the same way you are.
Yeah, we actually have so we use a software program. We enter the information in once, and we say, all things being equal, which company is looking the most competitive? All like coverage is the same, everything, and it lists them out of the 30 companies. It'll just like boom, 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 and it'll say, everything being equal. One time, maybe it's Farmers, or maybe it's MetLife, or maybe it's Safeco, and then the next time we run it, it's Progressive, and it's like when people ask me, well, who's the best company? Well, it totally depends.
Depends on the criteria.
On the criteria.
So how often would you say are you evaluating or reevaluating somebody's policies?
I say you don't want to do it too often, because what happens is there is a discount that insurance companies give for the longevity in which you have that with a previous company.
Okay.
And so, yes, there is, you want to stick around. You don't want to like switch every 6 months because then you're not getting as good of a discount the next time you switch. But, it could be every 2 to 3 years that you look at and reevaluate. One, because you're older. Have you changed vehicles? Have you changed homes? Do you have a youthful driver now? That kind of thing. So
that's coming up for us.
Yeah.
Us too.
He turns
that sounds
16
awesome.
in April, and we're gonna have to figure that one out.
Ready.
Brace yourself. Yeah.
He's ready. Are you?
It's usually
is it as big a hit as I'm
well, who knows?
It depends.
It depends.
I mean, he's got good
depends on the
grades.
company.
He's got good grades. That can help a little bit.
That's normally a time when we'll go, okay, let's relook at your coverage here because you've just added a youthful driver. That's a big increase. Let's see if there's anyone else out there that thinks that would be a good risk.
Here's a question.
I have another before you ask your question along this topic, because this is very important to me right now. We've heard that if he goes through a driving school, that can result in a discounted premium for him maybe in his first year. How does that actually work?
Yeah, so insurance companies will give like a good student discount. They'll do a driving training course discount. Some of the companies will even say, hey, if you're away at school, like at college, and you're still on your parents' policy, then you get an away at school discount. But does it help? Yes, but is it
does it offset does the savings offset the cost of the class?
Thank you, Jay.
And the answer is usually not.
Anytime.
Yeah. I mean, usually not.
Something's better than nothing, right?
I think it's a good idea. If you're doing it because it's a good idea for the kid, great,
Yeah.
But one thing that a lot of the insurance companies have come out with is these telematics programs where you put a device in your car, you download an app, and that kind of thing. And that actually, people can use that as a training tool for their kids. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, here's your phone. We're going to download the app. And you can see when they're driving. You can see
And these are coming from the insurance company now, though, right?
Yeah, and the reason
and then
that
they offer a discount on, hey, if you guys install this app on your phone, and basically allow it to track you everywhere, and then they're taking that data and they're probably selling it, right?
And utilizing it. I think they're utilizing it themselves more than anything, because I think it was Progressive came out and said, hey, we know after you use this how likely, like way more likely or less likely you are to have an accident.
Oh, sure.
And so we can determine which the right risk, and that's the game.
And they also know how likely we are to go to Chick-fil-A and Target.
Sure.
And,
I think they're less worried about that, Jay. They want to know if you're going to crash and cost them a bunch of money.
That's the key. And so as they look at that, they can retain the clients that they want to retain.
Yeah.
And then the clients that maybe
rate you out.
Yeah, aren't as...
We had an experience with Allstate. This is going back several years, and we tried their, I can't remember what it was called, but you plug the device in. And it became apparent very quickly, unless you were, no offense to our old lady listeners out there, but unless you were, somebody that just basically doesn't drive very much during the day, drive very many miles, period, never ever touch your brakes with any sort of extra force, it's just not going to really end up giving you that much of a discount. So, I mean, it was in my wife's car, and she's driving our kids everywhere, and I'm driving our kids everywhere, and I definitely had a few more heartbreaking incidences than she did. But
was that like the Safe Driver plug-in?
Was it a plug-in or was it an app?
No, it was a plug-in. It actually plugged in, and then
so I guess I will say I've done both.
That's even more creepy.
That's pretty creepy.
No, it was a plug-in thing.
Yeah, I've done both, and I'll say that the apps the ones that are apps are a lot more user friendly, and it depends on the company, because they all use different third-party companies to administer it, right?
Yeah.
But I think so me and my wife did it, and with the company that we're with right now, and I got like an 8% discount, and she got a 7%. So it just proved that I was a better driver.
You're just the better driver.
That's what I was.
Yeah, I just remember thinking that this thing was like
poor thing.
Yeah.
Hardwired into the black box of the car, right?
Yep.
So like that's how it would detect. I guess with the accelerometers in our phones, they could still detect hard braking.
Yeah, what they're really looking for is hard stops, fast accelerations, and then the number one thing a lot of them do is or use of the phone while driving.
Oh, that's it.
Killer.
That's the one.
It's the number one reason.
That's
people,
what they can't do.
So my 8-year-old this morning in the back seat, he looks next to me. He's like, Dad, there's a girl in the car and she's driving and she's looking at her phone while she's driving. Yep. My 8-year-old.
All the time.
I'm like, yeah, that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's against the law in Arizona now. So you really don't want to do that when you start driving.
Yes, Jay, I know this.
Bad habits. Bad habits.
That's a whole different story. I once got pulled over because my license plate, you'll appreciate this, mountain biker. I was using my wife's car, not my truck, which I just throw my bikes over the back. I had the rack on the back of my wife's car. I had it up. It's a Thule rack, and it was covering the license plate. So he initiated the pullover because he couldn't read my license plate. I wasn't speeding. It wasn't a moving violation of any kind. And he pulls me over, and I'm not even thinking about it. I had my phone in my cup holder, and I was playing a podcast, audio only. And when he started to pull me over, I pick up my phone because I'm in my wife's car and it's not attached to the way it is in my truck. And I just go like this.
Put pause, yeah.
Okay. He pulls me over and he goes, I pulled you over for your rack here that's covering your license plate, but I also have to cite you for using your phone while you're driving. And I'm very pro law enforcement. I said, sir, I understand that's the law. I said, I feel I need to tell you that the whole reason you saw me pick up my phone was because you were pulling me over and I was just pausing my podcast. This is the absolute, and I hand him I concealed permit, I'm playing real nice with the guy and let him know that I have my weapon in the car and all that.
Did you tell him you were listening to the Jay and Brian show?
And he was very nice about it. But still I had to go to online traffic school to avoid a $300-400, although it ended up costing that much, so it didn't go on the record. But
then it doesn't go on the record, and then it doesn't affect you.
Sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
It was just
No.
Put those phones down, people. Stop texting.
Phone down.
I think that's the number one cause of an accident nowadays is, and it's
I wonder if
unfortunate.
that might be kind of cool if they actually mandated that. Like you have to have insurance, and you have to have their insurance app on your phone. So you know that they're monitoring whether you're picking up your phone or whether you're using it while you're driving, and that maybe I don't know. That's big.
If they can, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe that's
Overreach.
a little bit of an overreach.
Yeah.
So going back to the youthful driver topic, okay, is there a specific car that's going to be rated on a youthful driver better than another?
Ooh, good question.
I would say get an old car.
Old?
Just an old car. That way you don't have to, you're not worried about replacing the vehicle. You don't need the comprehensive and collision coverage on it. So that
if they wreck it, just let them total it. That's the end of it.
So when my insurance company reps come and visit me and say, hey, sell more of my policies, right? They'll say, hey, just so you know, youthful drivers, there's like a 99.9% chance that new youthful driver within the next 5 years is going to have an accident. So if you're going out and buying them a newer car, it's going to get damaged most of the time, 99.9% of the time within that first 5 years. And so the insurance companies know that. But the biggest concern for insurance company isn't really the vehicle you're driving. People focus a lot on that, and they say, well, is it, if I'm driving a red car, is that more expensive? And yes, the car has an effect on the rate. But the biggest and most important coverage people have is their liability coverage. And so I guess the point I kind of give you is, let's say you do trash a $60,000 vehicle and it's totaled. Well, that's unfortunate, and the insurance company pays the $60,000. But when you have liability limits at $250,000 and you have an umbrella policy that's $1 million or $2 million, that's really where their concern is. And so I guess to answer your question, as long as you're putting something on there that's got liability only, it's an older vehicle, they're all going to pretty much be somewhat similar. And it depends on the carrier, right? So again, it just depends on who you're with and what coverage you've got. But their concern is more the liability aspect.
Example, how about a 2010 Camry or a 2010 Charger?
That's a hard question.
Going to be rated the same on that youthful driver?
There'll be a slight difference.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be anything dramatic.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I thought they would get destroyed on the Charger, but...
Well, again, it just depends. If it's
they're like, well, we look at the size of the gas pedal.
If it's like a Hellcat, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because that's it's going to be. But most of the time, that driver's rated on all vehicles on the policy. So even if you have some nicer vehicles and that driver you can assign that driver to that vehicle, but they're still able to drive the other vehicles. And so then the insurance company will rate. Everyone does it. Each company does it a little different, but most of the time, all the vehicles will have a youthful driver kind of surcharge overall. But it just depends on the company.
So, what's the earliest age the youthful driver could get on their own insurance policy?
Well, technically, if they move out of the house and they're living on their own, they could get their own policy.
Okay,
it's going to be more expensive probably than if they're on their parents'
our policy rated on all of our cars.
Because you get the multi-driver, multi-vehicle discounts, and if they're moving out, they may not own a home, so they might not have that homeowner discount. And that kind of thing.
But they have to be on the title of the car in order to have the insurance policy in their name, right?
It depends on the company. Some companies don't care.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of those things. We can write a policy for someone that has a vehicle that's titled in someone else's name because they're driving that vehicle. It's garaged at their house, and the title of that doesn't. Some companies don't. That does not matter to them. So
okay.
Another question. So is it always better to bundle your insurance policies?
Good question. So that is. So anytime the insurance companies are pushing something like bundling.
Well, that's because that's all you hear.
That's
advertised.
all you hear.
Bundle. You've got a bundle to save.
It's a huge push. So I personally don't have my home and auto insurance bundled. And I'd say I'd say, I don't know, 50% of the time. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I don't know the real percentage, but a lot of the time we do not bundle home and auto insurance. We'll put one person with their autos with, I don't know, Progressive, because that's what came in, and then their home with, Main Street America or something like that. Or we'll put them in two different,
like mix and match.
And the reason is because the algorithm is specific to that policy. So like when I put that information in, the Progressive may come in super competitive on that auto policy. But then when I go and rate the home, that same company may say, oh, that home was built in the 50s or 60s or 70s, and age is a big factor on home insurance. And so they may say, we're not so hot on that risk.
It gets back to the appetite for a particular type of client.
It's it. And so what happens is, yes, sometimes the stars align and you can bundle and you can get that extra discount. But should that be what people do all the time? No. No, it's only when the underwriting guy or when the risk appetites align.
And we see that here a lot, where our customers come in with homeowners policies, and 99% of the time they're bundled with the same company.
Yeah.
Homeowners auto.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I'm picturing, like you could save $100 a year by bundling, but if you took your homeowner's insurance somewhere else, you could save $200 or $300. And so your net savings is much greater.
So even though you might be paying more per month on that auto because you're not getting that extra bundle discount, which is a big discount. Even then, if your home insurance, I'll give an example. Let's say your home insurance is crazy. It's like $2,000 a year or something like that. But you could go to another company, it's $1,100 or $600. Well, if you're going to pay $2,000 in bundle so that you can save $20 a month.
Yeah.
Goes back to the driving school.
Yeah. So yes, it's helpful, but only in certain circumstances. And that's, I think, another advantage that kind of we have is that we can,
as a broker,
we can kind of pick and choose and say, hey, look at it holistically kind of and say, hey, this is actually the best option. And you still call one place. You call us and we're still your agent, whether you have 6 different companies you're working with or one. So
getting back to the conversation about you being an entrepreneur, what would your advice be to somebody that's thinking about starting their own insurance agency? What have you learned? What are your top 2 or 3 sort of, here's what I've learned so far setting up my own business, my own agency?
Okay.
So, for example, do you have to have a certain type of insurance to be able to be an insurance or an independent insurance broker?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, you would need.
Is there a bond that you need to have? Is there a
you need your
specific
general
licensing that you have to have?
Errors and omissions insurance, because just like anyone else, like if we advise incorrectly, we can get in trouble for that. But yeah, I mean, you're going to need general liability. You're going to need, if you're going to have employees, you'll need workers' comp, and, that kind of thing. But that, it all, it's a step-by-step thing. So I guess, those are the...
So what kind of licensing would somebody have to get in order to start something like what you've done?
Yeah, so to get licensed, you go and you study for a test that's... the property and casualty insurance exam, and then you can include in there like life insurance, you can include the health insurance, you can include the business side of it, or you can just say, I only want to do this or that. So you study for that test, and it doesn't have a very high success, like pass rate for the first time, but most people, I mean, you can pass it the first time, and then once you take that test, you go and get fingerprinted, and then you get your license in the mail. But it goes in depth in all the different aspects of insurance, like what's how insurance works, and all the different things that maybe you're not going to actually talk to your clients about because it's so boring. But but you have the understanding of like, okay, this is how this is working. So, but it's an exam that you take. And then you pass, and then you can go from there. Most insurance agents will start When they start an agency, they'll go and they'll join what's called an aggregator. So they'll join a group that already has market access. Because sometimes when you go to an insurance company, if you're starting out, if you go to an insurance company, you'll say, hey, I'd like to sell your product. And they'll say, well, do you have any experience? No. Do you have any leads? Do you have any business? No, not yet. Well, no. No, that's too much risk for us.
Yeah.
And so what they'll do is they'll join in with an aggregator, and that group will help them get set up, get started, get the programs and systems in place, and then get them access to specific markets. So
What do you love most about running your own agency?
What do I love most about running my own agency?
Is it being able to tailor products for your customers? Is it being able to create your own sort of culture with your company? I mean, what?
I think that's probably mostly it. Like, I enjoy working in my business, and then I also like working with the people the employees I have. I really enjoy them, and I feel like we have a really good culture, and I don't like to be micromanaged myself, so I feel like I don't do that to my employees. Now, the real question is when they watch this, if they watch this, well, they will say, right? But I really try to make it, I feel like, we're all adults. This is a job. Like, let's do our job, right? And so, but I think they do enjoy. Hopefully, they stick around. So
that's a good sign.
Yeah,
that's a really good sign.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the autonomy to be able to go after exactly what I want to do. So I don't want to do health insurance. Well, because I don't work for someone, I don't have to go and procure life or health insurance policies. I can say, well, now I want to focus on this specific niche.
Yeah.
So
we're really experiencing the same kind of thing with establishing our own mortgage brokerage. Residential financing is obviously what our specialty is and what our expertise is, and purchase and refi. But being a broker, we're able to find other investors that can work with borrowers that are, outside sort of the standard box, borrowers that might have tougher, lower credit scores, or self-employed borrowers. There's a lot of other products out there that we're discovering, and investors that have an appetite for these type of borrowers that we might not have had access to before. We went off on our own. Commercial real estate financing, we're discovering that there's an opportunity there as well, and we've got some clients now working on that, and that's been really exciting. But it's this possibility of creating something that's yours, right? That you can help other people come into and grow with as well. That's my driving force. And I kind of get the sense that that's kind of where you're coming from in establishing your own business. It's not just about you. You're wanting to bring others up and give others opportunities.
Yeah, I find value in having people employed, that I've built something that people can come to work, enjoy the work that they do, even if it's in insurance.
Enjoy the people that they work with. Enjoy the people they work for.
Yeah, and that they can feel secure in their job, that they can feel that they're successful. And I feel like I read a book once that was by Patrick Lencioni. It said The 3 Signs of a Miserable Job. And I thought it kind of what I look for when I set up my business is when I start employing people, it's anonymity. It's I can't remember the exact terms, but there was an anonymity. It's you have to feel like you're making a difference in the world, and that your measurability too. So those were the 3 things. And anonymity, because you want to feel like you're important in the role that you have in your company. You want to feel like you're in making a difference in what you do. And then you have a way of measuring your success. And if those 3 things are in place, I feel like then you can have no one leaves their job because they're like, oh, I hate the marketing.
Right.
They don't.
They don't.
No,
but they leave because they don't like who they work with. They can't figure out how do they define their success. They can't.
They're struggling to find the importance
of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they can feel like, hey, I'm making a difference, I'm valued in the company, and I can see how successful I am, then.
So I've got a great book recommendation for you and for our listeners. It's called Gung Ho. I'm trying to remember the author's name, but it's a true story.
Fleeting me.
What's that?
I said it's fleeting me at this point. Yeah.
It's a true story about one of the most successful turnarounds in U.S. business history. I think they changed all the names and locations and all that kind of stuff, but it takes you through this process of how to create gung-ho employees. And the first section of it talks about discovering the importance of what you do, finding that first. And if you don't, even the kid washing trays at the school, eating area is, it's important. He might be washing trays for future doctors and lawyers and people that are going to go on to impact a lot of people. And they need that help because they're needing to go study for a test. They don't have, so everybody can find, it trains you to find the importance of your work, even if you're not sure if there really is anything important in what you do. So it would be a great book for you to check out.
I think that's good. I mean, because some people don't think what I do is important either.
Come on.
It's good. Well, I'm just teasing.
I mean, insurance is security. It's peace of mind.
It totally is. It totally is. But there's a lot of people out there who do feel like it's like a scam, which is fine.
Without insurance, you can be wrecked
until you need it. Yeah, until you need it.
And that's the thing is, I'm able to see both sides. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see what people are paying, and then I can see on the other side, on the claim side, I'm like, oh, there are some major payouts that happen on insurance on a regular basis. So
yeah, and you said earlier you don't get into healthcare insurance, so that probably doesn't cross your mind when you're riding your mountain bike, right? So you don't have customers out there on their mountain bikes crashing and
not worried about
medical insurance claims and things like that. But I want to talk about mountain biking because fellow pivot rider, Trail 429. I love mine. I don't know how you feel about yours, but it's
been an amazing bike. I've had it for several years. I keep fixing parts of it because people are like, you should upgrade your bike. I'm like, no, this is.
What year is yours?
It's an 18.
It's an 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I dove into a 2022.
Oh, nice.
Not the enduro build, so I didn't feel like I needed all that extra squish with the 36 fork. It's got the Fox Factory 34.
Mm-hmm. That's what I have.
I did try to go as light as I could, so it has the Reynolds Black Label carbon wheels. Everything's carbon on it, so it's 20 for a trail kind. It's sort of bridges from XC all the way, maybe enduro, but not really enduro. But it can be, I guess, with the enduro build. But 27.5 pounds is pretty good. I went from 33 pounds on my Trek Fuelie X8
it's amazing how much a difference that few pounds.
It is so much more playful. It is so much more responsive. I love riding a clip, so it's just I feel like it's way more part of me out there on the trail, and I can do a lot more with it.
I ride clip too, just because I'm concerned that my feet are going to slip and I'm going to gouge my.
That's what happened. I got tired of losing the pedals, and all of my like super downhill enduro friends are like, "Oh, you can't do clips, man. You can't do clips. I mean, you got to be able to ditch, and all this and that." But I'm not just going crazy on my bike out there, and I tend to not try to take on trails like National or Mormon over at Desert Classic, but I still love the fast, flowy, jumpy. Stuff, even technical, moderately technical climbs, I don't mind at all, and I'm loving it in the clips. I feel like I've got definitely more control of the bike on the fast, flowy, jumpy stuff, and then even when I'm climbing, I feel that much more connection to the bike, and you have a little bit of extra power because you can pull in certain cases.
Well, I also feel like as you're going downhill, when you're throwing the bike around to hit those curves and turns, like if I'm clipped in, I feel, or taking even a jump, that the bike is not going to leave. I'm going to still be able to land on this bike. It's right there. So
does it give you guys, like when you're clipped in like that? I don't ride mountain bikes, so a little disclaimer there.
This weekend.
This weekend. I guess this weekend I'm starting.
I have an extra bike now, Jay.
Maybe we should do this. All right. Sounds like a date.
That won't have you clipped in, so start you off.
So when you're clipped in, does it give you any kind of feeling of like claustrophobia?
Not at all.
Like you can't get out?
You can't.
not
get out.
You can get out like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
you
I
just have
keep
to
my setting
turn
pretty
your-
light, so it's just
You just turn it.
It's just a heel. I mean, it's
You
second
just
nature.
pop out.
Yeah.
And I've never had it to where I've been clipped in and fallen. Thanks. No, I've never had that. So yeah.
Yeah, unlike, so I don't road bike. I don't know if you ever road bike, but I have road biking friends, and they tell me that when you're road biking, it's a really, really tight clip, like really hard to get it out. And so it's not uncommon to come to a stop and forget to unclip before you get there to put your
So
foot down.
does it have something to do with the force? Like the force
The
that
amount-
you're putting on these pedals, or
It's
No,
the amount
the
of force
pedals
to
you
get
can-
out of them. To
no,
unclip.
like to have a road biker have a tighter clip.
It's just
The
the
locked in
clip
type.
itself is you can
It's-
adjust it to.
Yeah, I mean it's pedaling efficiency, right? So if you're,
Okay.
especially if you're a road biker and you're not jumping, you're not navigating obstacles, you want to have full.
I know they have like
Pedaling
different clip
efficiency, so-
setups based on which muscles you want to develop in your legs. I know that's a thing for road bikers, but
Yeah.
do they have the same thing for mountain bikers?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, you can on the boot you can position the actual
Oh,
part that
yep.
clips in
Okay.
on a different part. I mean,
Yeah, on the bottom of the shoe, the
it's
clip,
usually
you
on
can
the
move it.
on the very
Yeah.
very begin tiptoe type, not tiptoes, but like on
Kind of
the
like the
pad.
ball of your
yeah, the
foot
ball, yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you like to go riding around town? What's your
My favorite place is Haas area. So
Okay.
like the Haas and the backside of Haas that goes all the way down to the Salt River. There's just lots of wonderful trails, and they've built some amazing trails out there. So.
Yeah, that was where I first rode clipless. And shout out to my good friend Chris for taking me out there for my first clipless ride onto Red Mountain Rush, and then Big Sister came down to the bottom of that and went up that one, and that's so much fun.
That's probably one of my favorite runs to do. Red
Yeah.
Mountain to Big Sister.
And I really like that part at the top of right before you really start the downhill on Red Mountain Rush. The exposure, you kind of along the side of the ridge there. Oh, so cool, beautiful views.
Yeah. We actually saw a couple eagles.
Sounds like a name of a roller coaster. The Red Mountain Rush.
Red Mountain
It-
Rush.
Feels similar to a roller coaster.
All right,
at
I'm in.
times.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
It's a
It's
burly
roller
climb.
coaster. I'm in.
It's the climb that
Yeah.
I've always thought wouldn't it be fun if they had someone down at the bottom that had some sort of bus that would take you up to the top. But it's
That's a
business
good idea.
It's called,
That's a good
It's
idea.
called an e-mountain bike.
There you go.
And those
Yeah.
are picking up steam. They're everywhere.
They are. They are everywhere. Yeah. That's interesting.
So
Because you can always tell when you're,
yeah.
and some guy's like, hope you're having a great day. And, oh my goodness. Like
Yeah.
he's just,
The guy on the Tesla bike. There he goes.
basically, yeah.
So any good stories out on the trail? Any,
Let me
any
think.
good wrecks
So
that
I
you barely
wreck
survived?
quite a bit. I feel like if you're not wrecking, you're not trying hard enough. Maybe that's not true, but so I tend to wreck quite often. And one time, and I also don't spend a lot of time maintaining my bike, which isn't probably good. And one time we were actually out in Gold Canyon. I don't know if you've ever ridden out in Gold Canyon, but there's a trail I was coming down, and my back brake completely burned out, so it was completely shot. So I didn't have back brakes anymore. I just had, as it was pinching, you could hear it metal on metal, which was
man.
not good. And so as I was coming down, I was trying to feather the front to slow down.
Sure.
It was but as I came, it all happened so fast. There was a turn I had to take. Didn't have enough time, so I just grabbed the front brake. And when that happens, you just flip right over the handlebars.
Oh, man.
So I start flipping over the handlebars, and there's a cactus right there. And I run into the cactus, whole body.
I'm picturing Ricky Bobby right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
I literally look up because I'm like flying through the air, dragging over this cactus. And not like a swirl, but like one of those ones that, like, I don't know what they're called. But
Oh, the choyas.
yeah. And I look up and there's one of these like prickly pear ones, cactus right in
Oh,
front
yeah.
of
Okay,
me.
okay.
And I'm looking at it and I put my head down and my helmet plows into that. I got up
Oh,
and
man.
I had cactus all over me. all over me. And my bike seat had cactus.
Okay.
So
sticking
it wasn't
out
the
of
Choya though. It didn't have all the fine little prickies.
It wasn't like the teddy bear, like
That's
the
what
jumping cactus.
yeah,
no, it was
I
like the
drove
little
right
tiny,
through
like
one of
little
those.
barrel
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
ones. But I had
Let me tell
cactus
you,
everywhere.
if-
I went home and I went home and my wife and kids took tweezers and helped me.
And there's no other pain. There's no other pain like it.
It was fine. I mean,
Well, wives might disagree that there's no other pain like getting.
There you go.
stuck by a
I don't know.
cactus,
I accidentally I leaned up against a saguaro once, not realizing it wasn't a tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just put a saguaro right into my hand. So same thing. I'm going.
Well, I
home.
once
no other
rode,
pain. No other pain.
There
like
I
it.
was being the good, conscientious mountain biking coach for my son's team, and we were out pre-riding White Tank. And the only time I've ever ridden White Tank was 1/8 of the trail when I decided to ride right through a Choya on the right side of the,
wow.
and it was a teddy bear variety, so those are the worst. And I was just moving over because I could feel one of the kids coming up, and I wanted to, give way, and I just didn't even see this Choya kind of reaching out into the trail, and I right on through it, and I ended I had a whole sleeve of Choya, and it was one of those this is not good moments, and the coach that was leading our group turns around and I could just see the look on his face. He's like, "Oh shit!" and the other coach that was with us, totally awesome guy. He goes right into I got to help Brian mode and Boy Scout troop leader, like just the perfect guy to have there at the time, other than an EMT, who probably wouldn't have known to do what Jason did actually. So shout out to Jason for really helping me out of that jam, but still very, 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 very painful. But Chuck comes riding back down, and Jason's about to use the 2 rock method of removing these pricks from my arm, and Chuck goes, "Oh, it's like we got to get a picture of this." and so there's photographic evidence of the whole thing.
It's like your war stripes.
And that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
You could get tattoos
I'm
now,
sure,
Brian.
honey, it was not as painful as when you delivered our 3 boys. I'm sure, but it sucked.
And it like lingers afterwards.
Yes.
I don't know.
I had some nerve. It's cleared up. It's all good. But for weeks, there'd be like little pains that would shoot down. And there was all these little things, even a week later, that I was still finding, that needs to come out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, but I have not
Ugly.
flown headlong into a cactus before. So
that was fun. Well, and we couldn't really ride. I mean, because there was.
How fast do you think you were going?
Oh, I don't know. I think you can go
Fast enough, Jay.
Fast enough. Yeah.
What was you said? It was a turn.
It was just a turn,
Yeah.
and
Was it a berm? Did you go up and
there
over?
wasn't even a berm. It was
Okay.
just a turn and a bunch of rocks, from what I can remember. And yeah, but it's fun out in Gold Canyon sometimes too, because there's a bunch of wildlife out there. One
Mm-hmm.
time I came around a corner and there was a bull with the big long horns out there, and I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
whoa, like right there.
That's cool.
And then it was intense. It didn't even flinch. It just didn't even move. It was like, oh, another one. People riding by it all day. So
Awesome.
yeah.
How long did you fly in the air? Like for the story you tell your kids,
Oh, for when I tell my kids,
you're like, it was like easy 50 yards.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. It wasn't
50 yards, Russ.
I literally hit the handlebars on my legs, got a couple bruises, and then
Oh,
just-
man.
yeah. But that was one. You tend to, I guess you tend to. I tend to fall over my handlebars quite a bit, but mostly it's when you're going over technical features that are
Like
kinda
going
steep.
down and
Yeah.
you're going around a turn or something like that.
Well, there's this trail out in Gold Canyon called Where You From, and it's just a bunch of rocks basically, and you go up and then you come back down, and as you're coming down, it's just a bunch of boulders and rocks. But I flew over or fell over my handlebars because you sometimes your front tire isn't moving fast enough. It's usually when you're not moving fast enough
Okay.
that you don't have enough momentum to keep you going, and as you're not going fast enough, then you end up, and
Do you ever ride up in Flagstaff?
I
Have you ever been
not.
to the Fort Tuttle County Bike Park? It's a jump track. They've got like pump tracks and
That place is
like
amazing.
everything from like your baby is just riding a balance bike pump track to super expert high flying jump tracks. Like,
wow.
Really awesome. And I that's where I had my worst wreck. There was, full-fledged adult, not super experienced.
Did you do like the high jump one?
I did the intermediate jump track, and it had like 5-6 foot, launch.
That's intense. We've
jumps.
been up there. That's really intense.
And
it's fun just to watch people.
And I was
wreck.
warming up on the beginner one and having a good time, no problems at all. And my son's egging me on to do the intermediate one, and I'm looking over there, and there's all these kids, and it looks so easy. Like,
they make it look so easy.
Like it's second nature. And so I do one run really, really.
There's a lot of BMX guys up there, though.
Like not actually trying to clear I'm not trying to clean the jumps or anything. I'm just trying to get a feel for it, right? And I'm like, oh, I got this. This is easy, no problem at all. So I'm up at the top, and so the first jump is just a straight over, and then the second jump, it's a jump, but you kind of need to get into a nice little tail whip a little bit, just a little bit, just to get the bike in the right thing. And so I'm picturing this beautiful tail whip on the second jump, like I got this. I'm going to completely clean this, and I had plenty of speed, had the right amount of speed. I hit the jump, my bike's going this way, and I'm kind of going this way. And this is before I was clipped in, so I wasn't really connected to my bike. I instantly lost my pedals and could feel I just was going over. It was like, this is not good. And basically hit, I came down on top of the bike, wheel digs in about halfway down the landing thing, and just crunches my ribs. And I did not break my ribs that day, but it was like ER, right? Second most painful thing. Actually, that might have been more painful overall because we were camping and I couldn't sleep. I was like, couldn't breathe for a couple of weeks. Like, it was awful. Wow. Don't hurt your ribs.
Yeah.
Is my takeaway from there. And what you're picturing in your mind is it's good to know, to have that vision. This is what it's going to look like, but when you don't execute it.
Yeah, we saw some crazy BMX action off those jumps when we were up there a couple times.
The advanced ones, it's awesome to watch.
Intense.
Yeah.
They have a little jump track too, I think, on Wrecker and the North 202.
Oh, I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, never been over there though.
Yeah, they have some decent jumps, but some of them not above my pay grade, I guess you could say.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground.
A lot of ground.
We have insurance, mountain biking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to let you get back to your grind? We should. We've probably been talking for an hour or so. But I mean, it's been awesome having you on the show.
It
Ryan.
really has.
Appreciate you guys.
Love hearing about being able to ask you all these questions about the insurance stuff, because we got kids coming up to being driving age and have decisions and.
Well, we also get asked these questions too, just customers and different things that we come across.
Yeah.
We get asked a lot of these questions, so.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, but we'll definitely have your information down in the description. It's Ryan Lorsch with Protegrity Insurance. Links and everything will be down there. Definitely look up Ryan. Working with an insurance broker is great because they really can shop around for you. They have your best interests in mind. They're reviewing your policy regularly to find you a better deal. Had an experience with one down in Tucson years ago, been captive, and now back to a broker. It's really the way to go. So if you're not excited about your insurance company right now, definitely give Ryan a call. He's going to take good care of you.
I don't know if I know anybody that is. So call, just reach out to Ryan.
I love it.
Oh, that's funny.
And I have a reason to also, because my kid's about to turn 16. And
okay. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, thanks again for joining us on the show today.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
We really appreciate you being with us.
we'll have to go riding sometime.
Let's do it.
For sure.
I think we planned this weekend, but
All right. Let's do it.
Thanks, Ryan.
sounds good.
Thanks again, Ryan.
You bet.